Imagine this scenario playing out in your own organization. You've got a critical business system, one you really rely on, now powered by some pretty sophisticated AI. And then suddenly, it starts making these incredibly strange decisions. Inexplicable, really.
Yeah, and it's not like a normal hack, right? No
Right.
obvious breach, no ransomware.
Exactly. No
Okay.
flashing red lights. Instead, the sister itself just seems, well, subtly off at first, almost imperceptibly gone rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's recommending, I don't know, disastrous financial trades that could wipe out profits. Or maybe worse, generating content that just fundamentally undermines your brand's trust.
That's terrifying.
So how do you, as an organization, even begin to manage that kind of unexpected event when the very intelligence, the sort of mind of your system, is compromised?
That's a huge question.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a really fascinating and, frankly, incredibly important area: how organizations navigate these treacherous waters of artificial intelligence incidents. Think of this as your essential guide. Not just keeping AI systems secure, but crucially, what you do when the unthinkable, well, inevitably happens. It's about protecting the brain of your operations, really.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're digging into some crucial insights from the ISICA AI Advanced Security Manager Manual, the AAISM official review manual.
Right.
Specifically, we're dissecting Chapter 1, Part E, that focuses on business continuity and incident response just for AI.
Right.
And then we'll immediately try to apply that knowledge by breaking down a practical case study from the same manual. It gives a really robust blueprint for managing AI in a complex, real-world enterprise setting.
Good stuff. So our mission today is basically to equip you with the essential actionable knowledge, not just to understand AI-specific incidents, but really to prepare for them, identify them, and then respond decisively when they occur.
Mm-hmm.
You'll walk away with, hopefully, a genuine shortcut to being well-informed on a topic that isn't just shaping the future of security. It's fundamentally redefining it. Okay, so let's unpack this fundamental shift. We've all gotten pretty used to dealing with things like data breaches, right? System outages, malware attacks.
Yeah, we have playbooks for those.
Exactly. Often honed over years.
Mm-hmm.
But AI, like we hinted, it just introduces this entirely new layer of complexity. Why are AI incidents so fundamentally different? What makes them such a unique and honestly unnerving kind of beast to tackle compared to traditional IT security incidents?
That really is the profound question, isn't it? And it's at the heart of this chapter. What's truly fascinating, and maybe a bit scary, is how deeply AI systems are becoming woven into the fabric of, well, everything. Critical infrastructures, core business operations.
They're everywhere.
They are. And this deep integration means their vulnerabilities aren't just isolated glitches anymore. They can have these far-reaching, often insidious, and surprisingly hard-to-detect impacts.
Okay.
The ASICA manual really hammers this home. AI attacks aren't just about traditional hacking, exploiting a network flaw, stealing data, crashing a server.
Right.
Instead, they can directly manipulate the very intelligence of the system. Imagine trying to secure something where the brain itself can be tricked into self-sabotage.
Wow.
Subtly, maybe, without any big alarm bells going off. That's the new frontier AI incidents force us into. It means the AI, the core decision-making part, can be turned into a weapon or just a catastrophic point of failure. Sometimes, obviously, but often in ways designed to be almost invisible.
Okay, so it's not just guarding the gates, it's guarding the mind inside.
Precisely. And to really get our heads around this, let's maybe delve into some specific types of AI incidents that highlight this unique challenge.
Good idea.
First up, we have what are called adversarial attacks. Now, these aren't about brute force like password cracking.
Okay.
Instead, they involve manipulating the input data, but in a way that's almost invisible to us humans. It's meticulously crafted, though, specifically to deceive the AI model.
To trick it.
Exactly. Leading it to make incorrect, sometimes dangerous decisions. Think of a self-driving car's vision system.
Right.
An attacker might put a tiny, barely noticeable sticker on a stop sign. Or maybe just a splash of graffiti. To you or me, it's still clearly a stop sign.
Yeah, obviously.
But to the AI, that subtle change might suddenly make it interpret the sign as, say, a yield sign, or even speed limit 50.
Oh, bye.
Or maybe in finance, an AI might be tricked into marking a legit transaction as fraud, or the other way around, just by some tiny, seemingly random changes in the data. The attack targets the model's perception, its fundamental understanding.
Got it. It's manipulating what the AI sees.
Exactly. Then there's data poisoning. Now, this is incredibly insidious.
Sounds bad.
It is. It's where harmful or biased or just outright malicious data is deliberately injected into the AI's training sets.
During the learning phase.
During the learning phase. So it's not a one-time trick. It's like a slow, fundamental corruption of the AI's learning process over time.
Oh, wow.
Imagine an AI designed for loan approvals. If an attacker systematically feeds it fraudulent applications, maybe subtly disguised as legitimate ones, into that training data.
The AI learns the wrong lessons.
Precisely. It might start approving high-risk loans, not because it's broken, but because it was trained to see those risky traits as acceptable. The damage isn't temporary. It's deep-seated corruption in its core knowledge, affecting all its future decisions. Persistently. Systemically.
That's really undermining it from the inside out.
Completely. Another critical type is bias exploitation. AI models, well, they reflect the data they're trained on, right?
Garbage in, garbage out, sort of.
Or bias in, bias out. If that data contains inherent biases, historical, social, whatever, the AI will learn them and potentially even amplify them.
Right.
Attackers can leverage these biases, not just as an ethical issue, but as a direct security vulnerability.
Yeah.
Well, say you have an AI system for hiring or insurance premiums. If it shows a predisposition maybe to undervalue applications from a certain demographic, an attacker could exploit that.
To deliberately cause harm or denial of service.
Exactly. They could craft inputs specifically designed to trigger that bias, denying services or opportunities, using the AI's own flaws against it for malicious ends, or maybe just to cause a huge PR disaster and regulatory headache for the company.
So the attack is on its learned prejudices.
Yes, it's internal logic. Now, closer to traditional hacking, we have unauthorized access and exploitation, but specifically targeting AI systems.
Okay, so more familiar ground.
A bit. But it's not just about stealing user passwords for a database. It's about gaining control of the AI system itself, to manipulate its outputs, or, importantly, to steal its underlying IP.
The model itself.
The model itself and the valuable data it was trained on. A sophisticated AI model can represent years of research, massive investment. It's a huge asset for industrial espionage.
Right, they're stealing the digital brain.
You got it. They're after your digital brain. Finally, there's automation failure. This highlights the risks of just errors within AI-driven automation, not necessarily malicious attacks.
Just things going wrong.
Things going wrong, leading to incorrect or dangerous outcomes. Think about an AI-powered trading system. A minor data anomaly, maybe an unexpected market event it wasn't trained for.
Could trigger a disaster.
Could trigger a cascade of disastrous trades, massive losses in minutes, potentially, all without human intervention. Or an AI on a manufacturing line. A subtle algorithmic error might lead to mass production of defective products, expensive recalls, reputational damage.
So the AI itself can be the source of the failure, not just the target.
Exactly. Its autonomous nature means a small error, or maybe just an edge case it wasn't prepared for, can rapidly spiral into significant real-world consequences.
Okay, so when we pull all of this together, what does it really mean for security teams, for organizations? It feels profoundly different.
It is.
It's not just stopping a hack that steals data or takes down a server. It's about understanding how the very intelligence of the AI can be weaponized or exploited for its biases or just become a point of failure itself. Which means the attack surface isn't just your network perimeter anymore. It's the data feeding the AI, the algorithms driving it, the subtle ways its decisions can be skewed. That's a massive mind shift, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And connecting this to how we respond, the manual presents this cyclical 7-step process for handling AI incidents. It's adapted from traditional incident response.
Okay, what are the steps?
Prepare, identify and report, assess, respond, containment, eradication, and recovery.
A cycle.
Yes, a cycle. And that raises an important question, especially for organizations used to a more linear sort of fix-it-and-forget-it approach.
Yeah.
Why is this cyclical method so crucial for AI incidents? What's the big idea behind this continuous loop?
Yeah, that's a great point. We're talking about a continuous feedback loop. But for organizations maybe already struggling with traditional linear incident response, isn't this cyclical approach a huge leap? What's the biggest hurdle in making that shift? And why isn't a straightforward model just sufficient?
You've hit on a really critical distinction there. Unlike those linear processes where you find a problem, fix it, done, AI systems are constantly learning, adapting, evolving. They're not static.
Right.
So an incident in an AI system, it's not just a one-off event, it's often a profound revelation. It can expose new vulnerabilities in the model itself, or maybe biases in the training data you didn't know were there, or weird interactions that weren't obvious before you deployed it.
So fixing one thing might break another,
Right.
or reveal something deeper.
Exactly. Because AI systems are dynamic, fixing one issue might inadvertently create another or expose a deeper systemic problem. This necessitates a continuous loop of improvement, a living process.
Okay.
You adapt the AI's design, you refine its data, you strengthen its deployment environment based on what you learned from the incident. You learn, adapt, reinforce, and then you keep monitoring and refining, basically expecting new threats or weaknesses to pop up.
So it's about building this robust feedback mechanism.
Yes. Ensuring the AI's security posture isn't static, but constantly adapting and strengthening. That continuous adaptation is really key to long-term resilience and, frankly, trust.
That concept of continuous adaptation leads us perfectly into the first phase you mentioned, preparation.
Mm-hmm.
This often feels like a checkbox exercise, maybe, but it sounds like it's the absolute foundation here, especially with AI being so dynamic. What are the key areas organizations must focus on before an incident even occurs? It feels like anticipating entirely new kinds of problems.
Absolutely. And the manual really stresses this. Preparation isn't just a nice to have. It's an organization's best chance for both rapid recovery and long-term resiliency against these AI-specific threats.
Because traditional plans might miss the mark.
Exactly. Many traditional incident response programs, even mature ones, they just lack the AI-specific policies, the procedures, the threat models needed for these novel risks. You can't just bolt AI security onto existing frameworks. You have to fundamentally rethink some aspects.
Okay, so what does that proactive preparation look like?
Well, let's break down the key considerations. First, organizations need to focus intensely on preventing abuse of AI output.
Oh, wait, what does that mean?
It means putting really robust controls in place, ensuring the AI can't be coerced or just inadvertently used to generate harmful content, facilitate malicious stuff like phishing or propaganda, or even accidentally help attackers.
Right, like if you have a chatbot.
Exactly. If an AI creates content or handles customer service, how do you stop someone prompting it to generate hate speech or spread misinformation or maybe reveal sensitive internal data?
So you need filters, guardrails.
Sophisticated content filters, yeah. Strict guardrails on its responses, continuous monitoring of its outputs for weird or malicious patterns. It's about containing the AI's potential to cause harm, even unintentionally.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, there's an elevated focus on protecting data, and this goes way beyond just securing traditional databases.
Because AI uses so much data.
Vast amounts. Personal, proprietary, sensitive data for training sets, plus the data the AI generates. You need rigorous guarding against theft or manipulation of all that. Remember data poisoning.
Yeah.
Robust data governance is key, emphasizing data provenance, knowing where your data came from and its journey. Strong integrity checks, encryption, immutable logs, all essential. It's about ensuring the integrity and confidentiality of the AI's lifeblood, its data, at every single stage.
Okay. Data provenance, that sounds critical. And third,
Organizations must proactively work on mitigating inaccuracies and bias. This means preparing for incidents caused by flawed AI outputs, and the harm they might cause may be stemming from bias in the training data or the AI's design itself.
and this isn't just an ethics issue, you said it's a security vulnerability.
It absolutely is. If your AI is biased, it can be manipulated. Preparation here involves things like regular AI audits, red teaming exercises where ethical hackers actively try to find and exploit biases, and establishing clear metrics and monitoring for fairness and accuracy before you even deploy. You need a predefined plan to assess the impact if bias is detected, and a strategy to fix it before it blows up into a big incident, damaging your reputation or attracting regulatory fines.
Wow. So it's really clear. AI doesn't just add risk you can handle with existing tools. It introduces entirely unique additive risks. They demand tailored preparation, AI-specific policies, proactive strategies right from the start.
Exactly.
It's not enough to just layer AI on top of what you already have. You need to fundamentally rethink and redesign parts of your security architecture for its unique properties. That's a pretty substantial shift in thinking.
It truly is. And once you've laid that robust foundation of preparation, the next critical challenge pops up. How do you even know an AI incident is happening, especially when the AI itself might be the source showing subtle anomalies, not, screaming red flags?
Right. Which brings us to the next phases: identify, report, and assess. And here's where it gets really interesting and frankly quite challenging. The manual points out this critical puzzle. AI outputs can be probabilistic.
Meaning they're not always perfect.
Right, there's an acceptable range of variance, a degree of normal imperfection. But an error could also be an attack, or a critical malfunction from poisoned data, or just an inherent bias showing itself. How do you tell the difference? How do you distinguish acceptable variance from something malicious or severe? It sounds like looking for a tiny tremor when you're used to earthquakes.
Exactly. And this is why baselining is so absolutely crucial. AI developers make mistakes, users make mistakes, outputs can have bias or inaccuracies, like we said. Without clear, data-driven metrics and baselines for what normal AI performance looks like for your specific system,
You're flying blind.
you're flying blind. Identifying an anomaly is like finding a needle in a haystack. Or worse, you might just dismiss a critical incident as, oh, that's just the AI being weird, missing the early warning signs of a major compromise. You need robust monitoring and a deep understanding of its typical, expected behavior, not just its ideal behavior.
Okay, so how do we detect these specific AI attacks? What techniques does the manual suggest?
Good question. The ISACA manual offers key detection techniques. For prompt injection, detection mainly revolves around rigorous input and output validation.
More than just sanitizing text.
Oh yeah, it's about dynamically analyzing patterns in the prompts themselves. Are users trying to bypass instructions? Extract sensitive info, get the AI to generate something it shouldn't. You need tools that can spot unusual input patterns, flag attempts to mess with the AI's core instructions, or detect requests outside its defined purpose, like a super-sensitive filter at the AI's front door.
Got it. What about data poisoning? How do you spot that?
Detecting data poisoning needs a multi-layered approach. You have to rigorously monitor access to all your data systems, track changes in your data supply chain.
Who touched the data? When? How?
Exactly. More technically, reviewing data versions, using cryptographic hashes to verify integrity, anomaly detection on data ingestion pipelines, all crucial. Any unexpected changes to training data, especially at scale or from weird sources, should trigger an immediate alert. It's like tracking every ingredient in a recipe. If someone slips something foreign in, you need to know right away.
Makes sense. And adversarial inference, where they trick the live model.
For adversarial inference, detection focuses on analyzing API logs for unusual patterns. The AI makes decisions through an API, right?
Right.
So you're looking for weird sequences of queries, maybe unusually high query rates from one source, or input patterns that look designed to probe the model's weaknesses or exploit known vulnerabilities. These might not look like a traditional attack, but they betray an attempt to subtly mislead the AI's decisions.
Okay, so once you detect something, maybe just an anomaly, what are the immediate next steps? The assessment part.
Right. The manual emphasizes a set of vital assessment questions to quickly figure out the scope and impact. You need to ask, urgently, is this incident still ongoing? What are the basic facts we know? What are the negative consequences? Operational, reputational, financial? Has a breach notification been triggered? Thinking about regulations? What are the specific technical details? What data? What tactics? And crucially, what do we need to do to get back to a safe, trustworthy operational state?
So it's rapid triage.
Exactly. These questions help you rapidly define the scope and severity, moving you from just detection to an informed response.
That comprehensive assessment is key. Okay, so after identifying and assessing, it's all about rapid response. Traditional incident response involves isolating systems, forensics, communication. How do those strategies hold up against these unique AI challenges? Can we just reuse our old playbooks?
Well, the foundational principles still apply: speed, communication, root cause analysis, absolutely. But the manual makes it really clear. AI solutions often make traditional strategies less effective, or at least demand significant specialized adaptation.
Wow.
Because you simply cannot patch an AI's cognitive processes like you patch software. It doesn't work that way. Which leads to the important question: what specialized tactics do we need for containment and eradication in an AI context, given these differences?
Okay, let's get into those tactics. What does containment look like for AI?
Let's look at the AI-specific containment strategies from the manual. For prompt injection attacks, the focus is heavy on that input-output validation we talked about.
The filters and guardrails.
Right. Rigorously checking what goes in and what comes out, using sophisticated filters, semantic analysis to spot malicious commands. Also, using predefined templates for AI outputs can really limit what it can produce, stopping it from generating harmful stuff even if it's tricked, creating intelligent boundaries.
Okay. What about containing data poisoning? That sounds harder.
It is much more involved than just, say, blocking network access. You need granular control over access to the AI's data sets at all stages: collection, training, updates. And crucially, you must isolate and then systematically remove the poison data from the training pipeline.
Because otherwise it keeps learning the bad stuff.
Exactly. It's paramount. If that tainted data stays, the AI keeps learning from it, making eradication impossible. It often means taking the AI offline, quarantining data sources, scrubbing the whole data supply chain.
A major undertaking. And for adversarial inference, tricking the live model.
For adversarial inference, containment is mainly about implementing stringent validation for all input channels feeding the live AI, scrutinizing the data it receives during operation to ensure it hasn't been subtly messed with.
Okay.
And this is a big step. You might need to prioritize removing the compromised model from service entirely, taking the AI offline if the attack successfully altered its internal state or understanding. The goal is stopping those malicious inferences ASAP.
Okay, that makes sense for containment, stop the bleeding. But then comes eradication. In traditional IT, that's patching, removing malware, restoring from backup. But with AI, the brain itself is compromised. If its learning is corrupted, how do you fix that? It sounds much deeper.
You're absolutely right. Eradication in AI is much more challenging, much more nuanced than conventional software patching. If the model's learning is compromised, you need sophisticated techniques that go right to the core of its knowledge.
Like, what does that look like for these different attacks?
Well, for prompt injection, eradication often means the underlying AI model, especially large language models or LLMs, needs retraining or fine-tuning.
Not a quick fix.
Definitely not. It's a process of essentially teaching the model to be more robust, less susceptible to these manipulative prompts. You expose it to new, curated data sets with both benign and adversarial examples, letting it learn to filter out or ignore malicious instructions. You're basically hardening its cognitive defenses.
Interesting. And for data poisoning, how do you unpoison its brain?
That's especially complex because the problem is so deep-seated. It's not just removing the bad data from storage. You have to retrain the AI on clean, sanitized data.
Start over.
Maybe entirely rebuild the model. Or, more efficiently, use techniques like selective retraining. Imagine a library where someone altered a few pages in some books. Selective retraining is like carefully rereading and correcting just those pages, not the whole library.
Oh, okay. More targeted.
Right. It lets you fix the poisoned bits without losing all the other valuable learning. Plus, long-term strategies like continuous revalidation of data integrity are key. It's about truly sanitizing the AI's knowledge base.
Got it. And adversarial inference. How do you eradicate the vulnerability there?
For attacks tricking the live model, eradication often involves deploying more robust models built using techniques like inference distillation.
Inference distillation. What's that?
It's a fascinating idea. You take a large, maybe vulnerable model, and you distill its core knowledge into a smaller, simpler, but more robust model.
Like concentrating the good stuff.
Kind of. This new model learns to mimic the original's correct behavior, but with increased resilience against those adversarial inputs. It's about building an AI that's more street smart against these tricks, making it inherently resistant to future attempts to mislead it.
Wow. Okay, so you've identified, contained, and eradicated, maybe even performed AI brain surgery. Now, the final phase, recovery. What does a successful AI recovery look like? How do you ensure it's truly safe and trustworthy to bring back online? It can't just be flipping a switch.
Definitely not just flipping a switch. The goal is returning the AI to a safe operational state, but with added scrutiny and often a whole new set of controls. It's not a simple rollback. It's thoughtful, enhanced redeployment, meaning very careful, multi-stage validation of the restored AI. Ensuring it's functioning exactly as expected, proving its integrity and reliability, and critically, proving the root cause of the incident is fully fixed. You need to verify the brain surgery was successful. Recovery also fundamentally involves implementing any new controls or policies that came out of the incident investigation. Lessons learned.
Right. If you found a weakness, you fix it before going live again.
Exactly. If the incident revealed a vulnerability in data validation or an unknown bias, new stricter controls must be in place before the AI goes back online. And furthermore, continuous, enhanced monitoring of the AI's behavior after recovery is absolutely paramount.
To make sure it doesn't relapse.
Right. That it doesn't revert to old problems, or just as important, start showing new, unexpected behaviors. It's about rebuilding trust in the AI and ensuring its long-term resilience by constantly observing its performance, its outputs, its interactions for any signs of trouble. Recovery is less an ending, more a recommitment to vigilance, closing that loop we talked about.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From the theory and the phases to a concrete, real-world type scenario from the manual. We're going to dive into the case of listen, rimmer, and cough phlegm.
Thankfully abbreviated as LRC.
Yes, LRC. What's their business, and how is AI fitting into their operations? This feels like a very current, relatable use of AI.
It is. LRC is a marketing company, branding, advertising, websites, highly competitive industry. And to get an edge, they've developed Red Dwarf Social.
Okay.
This is their AI solution. It uses sophisticated NLP and machine learning to scrape huge amounts of public opinion and attitudes from social media.
Listening in on the public conversation.
Exactly. Then the AI crunches all that data to generate granular consumer insights, helps clients target ad campaigns really precisely, even helps generate relevant content. Red Dwarf is like their digital anthropologist, sifting through that ocean of public sentiment to provide added value.
Giving them a data-driven understanding of audiences.
Precisely. Classic example of leveraging AI for competitive advantage and market intelligence.
Makes total sense for a modern marketing firm. Now, the first question in this case study asks what initial questions LRC should ask when evaluating the risks associated with developing and deploying red dwarfs. This feels like step 0 for any organization thinking about AI, right? What should they be asking themselves right at the start?
It's absolutely foundational. The manual's answer key outlines 5 key areas organizations need to interrogate thoroughly right from the get-go. And these aren't just tech questions, they're high-level strategic inquiries.
Okay, what are they?
First, program scope. Is the AI solution clearly defined? Does it genuinely enhance existing security, or does it introduce new, maybe unforeseen attack surfaces? A common mistake is underestimating the new complexities AI brings. You need to map out not just what it does, but how it connects to everything else.
Anticipate new ways things could break. Makes sense.
Second, resource allocation. Are adequate resources, people, and money dedicated not just to building the AI, but critically to securing it throughout its life cycle? This often gets overlooked. Security budgets lag behind development ambitions.
Building a Ferrari without investing in brakes.
Exactly. Third, and this is huge now, third-party vendor due diligence. If external vendors are involved anywhere in the AI supply chain, and that's super common, with pre-trained models, cloud AI services, specialized platforms.
Which is most AI, probably.
Often, yes. What's the organization's risk exposure from them? Especially with black box models where you can't see inside, you're basically inheriting their security risks, their biases.
Good point. Number 4.
Fourth, risk tolerance and appetite. What's the organization's acceptable level of risk for AI initiatives? This isn't technical, it's a C-suite decision. It sets the stage for all later choices on controls, investment, deployment. Without it, decisions can be reactive, or you might over-engineer security, or worse, underinvest and leave yourself wide open.
Defining the guardrails at a high level.
Okay.
And last.
And finally, expected ROI. Return on investment. What's the anticipated business value? This grounds security in business reality. It helps justify the necessary security investments by tying them directly to the value the AI is supposed to bring, making the case that security enables AI's value. It's not just a cost center.
That's a powerful set of questions. And it sounds like they're not just for the security team, right? They're strategic questions for leadership across the board to address collectively, setting the tone.
Absolutely. Integrating AI risk into the overall business strategy from day one, not as an afterthought.
Okay. So once leadership's vision is clearer and those questions are tackled, the CISO needs to draft an AI acceptable use policy, an AIUP. The manual asks what factors should guide this development.
Right.
And the source gives choices. Existing security policies, technical info on the AI models, stakeholder feedback, and financial projections. Which ones are really key for developing the policy itself? Seems like a mix, but some must be more central.
That's a very insightful way to put it. The manual confirms that, yes, existing information security policies provide a strong foundation. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. Policies for data governance, access control, incident response, privacy, adapt and extend those for AI specifics ensures consistency.
Okay, build on what you have.
Critically, technical information on AI models is also essential. The CISO and their team need to understand the unique AI vulnerabilities, prompt injection, data poisoning, bias, to write a policy that actually mitigates those specific risks. Otherwise, the policy might be too generic.
Got to tailor it to the tech.
Exactly. And crucially, stakeholder feedback from across the organization, legal, ethics, business units, IT, is vital. A policy written in a vacuum won't work. You need input from those who'll use or be affected by the AI to ensure it aligns with business needs, ethics, operational realities, makes it practical and enforceable.
Makes sense. What about financial projections?
Now, financial projections definitely important for the overall business case, justifying the AI investment, like we said, but they don't directly guide the development of the acceptable use policy itself.
They're about the why, not the how.
Exactly. They relate more to funding the policy's implementation, not writing its specific rules for how the AI should be used and secured.
That's a really important distinction. The AIUP isn't just a financial thing. It's foundational for how AI operates ethically, securely, effectively, guiding behavior.
Precisely.
Okay, so finally, with an AIUP draft ready, the CISO looks at the existing cybersecurity program as a whole. What specific areas need enhancing to account for AI? Because, like you said, AI isn't in a bubble. It connects to everything else.
And those connections create new risks. This raises that important question. How does AI really integrate with and, frankly, stress existing security frameworks? Where do you need to adapt the whole program?
The manual highlights 4 key areas.
Okay, let's hear them. First, data flow prevention strategies. Absolutely critical. AI systems mean massive continuous data movement collection, training, inference, output. Your existing data loss prevention, DLP, systems and strategies. They need a serious upgrade and recalibration.
More than just stopping emails with attachments.
Way more. It's about preventing leaks, unauthorized access, manipulation during these huge AI data life cycles, preventing the AI itself from accidentally processing or outputting sensitive info, ensuring training datasets stay protected even when accessed by models and teams.
Protecting data in motion and at rest and in use by the AI.
All of it. Second, legal and regulatory considerations. These need to be proactively integrated. The landscape for AI laws is evolving incredibly fast: privacy, transparency, accountability, discrimination.
It's a moving target.
It is. Cybersecurity programs must actively integrate these new compliance requirements, ensuring AI systems meet emerging ethical, privacy, legal standards, preparing for new reporting rules for AI incidents, understanding data residency for training data, maybe complying with right to explanation rules,
Staying ahead of the regulators.
or at least keeping up. Third, and this is huge, data privacy and security considerations need deep reevaluation and fortification. AI models train on and generate vast data, often including sensitive personal info. The program needs robust controls. Data governance, encryption, anonymization, pseudonymization, access management.
For training data and outputs.
Both. And this ties directly back to bias and fairness because privacy and ethics are deeply linked to the data you use. It's about safeguarding the AI's fuel.
Makes sense. And the 4th area.
Fourth, organizations have to explicitly address integration with legacy systems. AI rarely lives alone. It connects to older IT systems, maybe ones not designed with AI security in mind.
Creating potential weak links.
Exactly. Your cybersecurity program needs to tackle the unique risks from these interdependencies, ensuring legacy systems don't become entry points to compromise AI or vice versa. This means careful architecture planning, rigorous testing of integrated systems, maybe even segmenting older systems from AI environments. It's a truly interconnected security challenge.
So it's a really comprehensive view then, from the data flowing in to the legal environment to how AI touches everything else in the organization. That's a genuinely holistic approach. It goes way beyond just the AI system itself and forces a rethink of the entire security posture.
That's the key. It has to be holistic.
Wow. That was a truly insightful deep dive. Business continuity, incident response for AI, topped off with that practical case study. It's abundantly clear AI brings unique, complex risks, very different from traditional IT threats, but also that there are structured approaches, even if they're constantly evolving, to manage them effectively.
And knowledge is most valuable when you understand it and actually apply it, right? The core takeaway here really is that AI security isn't an afterthought. It can't be a bolt-on. It needs weaving into every single stage of the AI lifecycle, from the initial preparation and policy development through spotting those subtle incidents, using specialized containment and eradication, and that rigorous continuous recovery. Critical thinking is just essential with all the information overload, and applying these frameworks is key to building resilient, trustworthy AI.
Couldn't agree more.
There's always more to learn, of course, and different perspectives always enrich understanding.
Absolutely. So as you reflect on this deep dive, thinking about everything we've covered, what stands out most to you, our listener? Maybe consider how the rapid, just relentless evolution of AI might constantly challenge these incident response frameworks we talked about, requiring continuous adaptation.
Yeah, it's never static.
And maybe even more provocatively, how might AI itself be used in the future to maybe enhance or conversely complicate the very incident response processes we've just spent time breaking down?
That's a fascinating thought.
It's a dynamic space, a living challenge. There's always more to learn and explore.
Indeed. It's a continuous journey of learning and adaptation for all of us.
Join us next time for another deep dive into the sources that help you become truly well-informed.